I just realized I was speaking and I wasn't, I just realized I was speaking and I didn't, my mic was muted. So I'm just waiting for a few more people to come in and then we can start the session. The session materials have been posted in this. So if you go back to the lobby and you check this click on sessions, you would see the PDF of these particular slides I'm going to share here already been there. So just waiting for a few people. So tell me, those of us that are in here, tell me, what are your thoughts on business sustainability? What are your thoughts on business growth? When you hear the term business growth, what comes to your mind? Please use the chat box. Let me hear from you. When you hear business growth, business sustainability, business stability, what are those things that come to your mind, right? So please use the chat box and let us take you from there. So remember, when you come in, to please put your mics on mute so that we don't have background noise from you. So when you hear the term business growth, what comes to your mind? What is it that you want? When you say, I want my business to grow, business growth, what is that thing that comes to your mind? Please put it in the chat box. Thank you. I'm reading the chats. Hey. Nobody's chatting. You guys don't want to chat? Put it in the chat box. When you hear business growth, what is that thing that comes to your mind when you hear business growth? Business growth, what's that thing that comes to your mind? Hello. Okay, since you guys don't want to talk and you want only me to do all the talking, okay, factors that influence the growth of a school is what Olateju says. Okay, so that's what fantastic. I love the fact that you're saying that, you know, what you want to know is the factors that influence the growth of a school. That's beautiful. So I'm going to just start sharing my screen at this time because I do know that we have 40 minutes for the session. And I, of course, want to make the best, the very best of it and ensure that I'm able to give everything that I have planned for this session today. So like I mentioned, Edison is not feeling well, so he couldn't be here. He notified me and I had to quickly jump in and talk. Yes, Olateju Adeyeye, you have something to say. Please go ahead.
I'm so sorry. You mentioned that we could get, good morning, by the way, and thank you very much for this conference. So you mentioned where we could get the PDF for the slides, but yes. I'm going through it now. You said the sessions. I clicked on the sessions. I maybe I'm not going about it the right way, but
so when we're done, when we have the last session at the end of the day, we can take you through that.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yes,
thank you.
Because they'll be there, it's a 2-day conference, so the materials are right in there. Yes, okay, so the first thing that I would like us to look at, just like somebody mentioned in the chat, I think that was Olateju, says he would like to, or she would like to know the factors that influence the growth of a school, because at the end of the day, we want our schools to grow. Now, let me give you a little gist. There's this school that I work with. And one thing that I've noticed is that I've worked with that school now for about a year, for about a year. And when we started working with them, they just wanted their numbers to grow. And I kept saying to them, look, your numbers growing doesn't mean your school is growing. It just means that your numbers are growing. Real growth, true growth in a business is when your financial status is growing as well. If only your numbers are growing, what is growing along with you is like your liability. And you don't want your liability to grow as a business. So please note that down if you have a book. Only your liability should not be growing as a business. And if my session volunteer is here, please put that in the chat box for us. You should not be only growing your numbers. You need to grow your financial status as well. And so for the first 3 or 4 months when I was working with them, all they were concerned about was numbers. And in my head, I'm like, numbers don't necessarily translate. If you don't have your eye on the goal, right? And that's what takes us to the very next slide. You need to say to yourself, what is my goal? You need to always understand your future map. Your business needs to not just grow, but be stable. If all you are looking for is numbers, it doesn't matter who comes to you, you will register all of them. Whether they can pay the fees, whether they cannot pay the fees, you will register them. And that's a problem, right? You don't want to register people simply because you want numbers to grow. Now, there are different stages on a business. And that will take us a little bit further, but I wanted to bring that in very quickly. There are different stages in your business. When you are in the school start phase, which is the visibility phase, I understand if what you're thinking about most of the time is the numbers. I can understand that, right? Because you're just starting. But by the time you move away from that phase and you have started having students increasing, your liability has started to increase. You will pay rent, Abi, or you built that building. Maybe you took a loan or it was personal funds, but there needs to be return on that investment. You have your numbers that are growing. Will those children not use the toilet? Will they not use books and materials? They will. Are you not going to use notebooks? You will. Teachers income, you will pay. So if all you're looking at is numbers, you would have 1,000 students and corresponding numbers in terms of your teachers, your operational expenses, all of that. But guess what will happen, or what will not be happening? You will not have liquidity. You will be in debt. You will be struggling. Why? Simply because you're not thinking about the numbers. You don't have your eye on the future, which is very, very important. So having your future roadmap is always really important when you get into the place where you start to think about your business growth. What are the areas I need to grow in? There are 3 core areas that I'm going to talk about today. There's several, but I like to focus on these 3. The first thing is your finances. I always bring finances first. Now, after this session, the next set of sessions, there's one that talks about financial management. So if you are in this session, I want to assume that you're in leadership. And so that means that the financial management session is something that would also, you may have picked as well. You need to say to yourself, where are my finances? How much do I want to save? How much is my break-even point? You need to know that. If you don't know what your break-even point is, then you might have a problem. So again, my scribe, can you help me just type some of the key points that I'm saying, such that it's in the chat box and people can always look at it. Thank you very much for that. So you must see your finances. You're going to look at your people as well. Who are your people? How many people do you need to start with? And I'm going to use myself as an example. And that's how I am still growing. So we're going to be 10 years this session that we're going into at Busy Minds. And guess what? I don't have one person doing one job. We can't carry it. I'm not running on any loans. We're bootstrapping. We've been bootstrapping for the past over 10 years. So I need to be careful with my hiring decisions. If I make the wrong hiring decisions, then they are the wrong decisions. I can't reverse them, right? The effects of a wrong hiring decision on the business, sometimes they're irreversible. Can you cover them up? And yes, you can, but they're honestly irreversible, right? So that's something that you must always, always, always think about, all right? So your people that you're looking at, your hiring, your retention, your capacity, are they growing? When I made a mistake in my first 2 years of business, I would hire people that I needed, forgetting the fact that the business was growing. And that's where business growth comes in. When you are hiring, who are the people you are hiring? Can they work with you for the long haul? 2 years from now, 3 years from now, are they still going to be relevant, that skill set? If that skill set is not relevant, then what is the capacity building mechanism that you have put in place to build them? If you don't have a capacity building mechanism in place, obviously you're going to have a problem, right? Because you're going to have to keep hiring and hiring to close the gaps that will be existent, that will be visible in your business. And you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to have gaps that you are constantly closing simply because you didn't think about certain things at the beginning. So those are important. Now, in finance, you must think about your collection, your pricing, and your allocation. Your allocation is your resource allocation. Where is the money going? Where is it coming from? Are you even priced appropriately? Now, there's a school I'm working with. I just started working with them. That's a new school I'm working with, and it's in Ilorin. And the first thing that we did was to check the financial status, right? Because your business is not a business if your finance is not looking good. It might not look good today, but it needs to have the capacity to look good. Okay, so just starting, you might not be breaking even when you just start. You know, you might need to pitch in monies from somewhere else, but it needs to potentially within itself have the capacity to grow as a business. If not, then you don't have business. So I don't know what you have, but you don't have business. All right, so that's something that is important to establish. And one thing that I did when we looked at them is that we looked at their pricing, and their private pricing was problematic, right? The prices and its price, okay? I know we're not talking crayfish and tomatoes, we're talking school fees, but it's price, all right? The pricing that they had in place could not even cover their staff salaries. So the school has been running at a loss for close to 40 years. 40 years. The owner of the school has been carrying that school at least 20 to 30% of the time. Crazy, right? Crazy, you know. So it's really crazy, yeah. So it's really important that we always think about things like that. Now, the third one is your customers. You must think about your customers. So again, your three core areas when you're thinking about your business growth is your finances, your people, which is your human resource mechanism, and then your customers. That is so critical. Your customers, when you're looking at your customers, you're thinking about demographic. Who are they? Where are they? Where do they live? What do they do? You need to understand that. Why? Because it sometimes helps you in the setting of your services as a school. If you live in an area where there are young people, right? Young families. So you know that, okay, these people would have young children, maybe children under 5, right? So what is your core as a school? Your core will be your key stage 1 and your early years, because that's what they'll be looking for. And you need to make it so great. Why? Because that's what they want. You also need to have an instance where you have people who are not just in terms of your core services now, but even the value proposition you're offering. It's important. You need to have a value proposition like we have after-school services at a reduced rate for people who live around my catchment area. Why? You're taking advantage of your demographics to set your pricing. And so the people that you hire will be great for you to hire people that live around there, right? Or you have a BQ. So maybe and that's the problem, right? When we start businesses, a lot of time we do not start businesses having these thoughts in our head. We just start. No, you need to first of all say yourself, what is my why? You need to have all of these things in place. Otherwise, you would have a problem. It might not be immediately, but you would have so many fires that you're going to keep putting out. And that is problematic. Okay, so that's demographics. Where are you and where do they want to be? Again, that's your customers. As easy is where they are right now, right? And they could be in a place where they're unhappy, and that's where they made the contact with your school. And then they have a place where they want to be. That's their to be, right? So your assist, your to be is something that, sorry, their assist and their to be is something that you must be able to cover as a school. And those are your customers that we're still looking at. They are what? What exactly are they looking for in you as a school leader? That's important. How about your communication? How have you structured it? Who are the people? Again, that's capacity. Who are the people you have in place to ensure that they can manage that communication? That's something you must think about. And then, of course, your attraction and your retention. Attraction and retention, we have a session that's for tomorrow. So, I mean, I would urge you guys to go to that one. Conflict resolution, we also have a session for that tomorrow. So all of these sessions have been very carefully linked and very carefully put together to make sure that it gives you a unique learning experience across 2 days. So those are the 3 core areas that you're looking at when you think about business growth. And when you look at these 3 areas and you plan them properly, your business will be stable. When you know, let's look at hiring, for example, right? You need to have a succession plan in your school. Why? People will go and people will come. That's just normal. Bad as it bad, maybe you would have a really great person, sometimes, let me say 60% of the time, for maybe about 3 to 4 years, and then they want to move on. Does that mean they have become bad people? No, they have not. It just could be that maybe they've moved location, they want to try something else, and that's okay. The only thing is that you must have succession planning, and you must help them understand the fact that let us know, which is where your controls come in. Do you understand what I mean? Right? We're going to look very quickly at this story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right? I hope if you've watched this, if you've read this story or heard about it, can I just see yes in the chat box? Let me see yes in the chat box if you've heard this. Goldilocks and the 3 bears, fantastic. So we've all heard, about Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and we know the story, right? The story is a process, okay? That story tells you about process. The first thing was that she got into the house. That's the first thing. To gain access into your school, people have to walk in. They need to see you, right? So when they see you, then they say, I'm interested, but where have they seen you? So what are the platforms that you're using? That's important. Are you using digital platforms? I will go into that a little later, actually, in the session tomorrow. We'll go into that. I'm taking a session tomorrow on the framework for attracting and retaining customers, a lollipop framework, a very interesting framework, to be honest, right? So we will do a lot of that tomorrow. But you need to be able to ask yourself and say, what is this? What is your process? Where is your start point? Who are your customers? Where are they going to see you? What are you going to put in place to make sure that they know you, they know that you're the one? Right? All of these things are extremely critical when you think about your business, right? So Goldilocks was walking around in the woods and she saw this house. She knocked on the door. That's the first thing. People see your posts on Instagram. They keep seeing it. Okay. And then one day they're like, let me even click. That's the knocking on the door. They click and then they review it, they read it. They decide to do what? Go and check your entire profile and look at your images. What are you doing there? You are already attracting your customers. Why? Because of what you have put in place. You have spent money to register on Instagram, at least to buy the data. You have somebody who is handling it. That's your people. Now you have what? Your customers. You have put out what it is that they want, and so you have attracted them. Goldilocks went into the house, and what did she see? She walked into a kitchen, right? And there was porridge on the table. So she's like, porridge, okay. Too cold, too hot, just right. She chopped it. So that's the sampling. Your customers come, they sample your services. They talk to somebody, they talk to another person, they talk to another person. They're sampling your services to be sure that, okay, this is the person that I really want to talk to. They're loving it. Then they do what? They come in, maybe they register, they sat down. Because that's what she did, right? As Goldilocks was eating, when she finished eating, she was like, you finished eating a bar of okra soup. Are you stressed? Then you do what? From there you say, let me just lie down small, sharp. And then you lie down. And that's what she did, right? She sat down. So as soon as she sat down, what happened? This chair is too lumpy, it's too hard. The second one is too soft. And then the third one was just right. She sat down so much that she broke the chair. She was so comfortable. And that's what happens in conflict resolution. When when there's conflict in the system, the parents have gotten so comfortable with you, you to seem like as if these people self, it's fine, it's part of the process. Did Goldilocks what she did by finishing the porridge good? No. In sitting down and breaking the chair was what she did good? No. But it is a process, and we need to understand that the process happens sometimes like that. Okay. Another thing that you then need to do is say to yourself,
huh? Yeah, so
can we kindly put our mics on mute? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so you then have her. She then broke the chair, and then she got up and said, "You know what? I don't want to go and lie down." The same process happened, right? And then she laid down on the bed till such a time as when she was met, right? And then she ran away. And that's what happens sometimes, right? When you've gone through that process with parents and you're not innovating, part of business growth is that you must have innovation. If you are not innovating, there is a problem. And that is where you go along this phase. Your exit, a lot of times, is you exiting the market, or is the customer exiting your organization. And you don't want that to happen, right? That's why you must keep innovating. That's why on the last stage there, I put innovate or die. Goldilocks ran away. Right now, even though in a sense, she had no business being in the bed in the first place, but the reality is that she got on the bed. Abby, she was there. And then what happened is that she had to leave, right? Because she ran away. And that's what happens. A new school or a new thing that a school is doing that you are doing, but you're not talking about it, comes in. And then what happens is what? You cannot even enter inside. You cannot meet them. There's nothing that is going on because you are losing out. That school will come, pack all your children, pack all your families, because you're not innovating. You are saying this is how we have always done it, forgetting the fact that you have a target. If you forget your target at any time, you're going to be in that place where you die as a business, and your business would no longer be sustainable. It's not rocket science, but we forget the fact that we're like a plant. If you don't begin to dig around that plant and maybe transplant part of it, there's going to be a problem. All right. And that is something that we must always remember. You must never forget your target. Never. Do not forget your target. Do not forget the things that you have put in place to ensure that your business can work. Don't forget that. Do not forget the fact that you're going somewhere. Constantly have that in focus. Otherwise, you're going to lose out. All right. Now, these 6 elements are the elements for growth and stability. Now, remember, like I said, this session has been already uploaded on the platform, so you will get access to it. However, even at the end of the conference, we will put these all together in a Zoom, in a file, a zip file, and send them out to you. So do not be worried about getting it. You're going to get it. All right. Now, there's 6 elements of growth and stability that we need to always remember. The first is your vision, your core values, your customer attraction processes, your financials, operational excellence, and your HR processes. These 6 are extremely important in your business, extremely important. Okay, so please don't forget to have these in place. So sorry, so because I'm not meant to be in this session and I'm having to take this session, some of the things that I was meant to do, I'm not able to do it. So my phones are ringing, I'm getting messages, and I'm not able to attend as I should. But we would carry on. Now, goal setting approach. Like I said, this is extremely important. Why? Your targets. Never ever forget your target when you're looking at business growth and stability. Now, you need to have a goal setting approach. Remember, I'm talking just about 3. Okay, so there's several, but I'm just focusing on financial people, and your operational excellence has to do with the customer services that you're providing. All right, so I need you to always remember this. What are your inflow sources? How are you tracking them? How are you ensuring you're getting what it is that you need? All right, that is extremely important in your business. Extremely, extremely important. And then, of course, your people. How are you developing them? How are you encouraging innovation? Is it that as a school owner, you are the only one, or as a school leader, a school manager, you're the only one that should be talking in your business? No, you're then going to have a problem. People are not interested in connecting with you. They will just not talk. They'll be looking at you because they know that you're not going to listen. And then, of course, your operational excellence for the customers that it is that you have. All right. Traction. How do you measure what it is that you're doing? You need to have measurement metrics in your business. How are you measuring them? And it doesn't matter. It could be anything, but just have a target. Don't say, oh, I want my numbers to increase. You want your numbers to increase by what? All right. If you haven't set precise targets, then you even have no way of knowing whether you're doing well or not. So you need to have precise targets. Now, there are these three, they're barriers to growth in any business, okay? And some of them I've already shared. The fact is that you don't even have a target, you don't have a plan, and so you're just doing things anyhow, yaga, yaga, let's just do it, sha. We need a year one teacher. Oh yeah, put CV out. You're not even sure, you don't know what it is that you need in a year one teacher. What is your year one class even supposed to be like? If you don't have a plan, for example, for what that class needs to be, how that class needs to function, then you will hire anybody and you think it's okay. But they do not align to what? Your goals, your targets. And if you have not aligned your operational activities, your hiring processes then you're going to have a problem. Now we have a session tomorrow that deals with connecting visions, right? And it's a HR segment as well. So you want to be in that segment. If you didn't, as a leadership, I kind of feel that you would have selected that session because it's also a leadership session. And then of course you need to look at your customers. Like I said, who are they? And we have talked about that before, and I'm going to flip back because some of you came in a little later. When we came in here, we talked about your customers right there, right? Your demographics, where are they now? Where do they need to be? That's their journey. What is it exactly that they want, right? Those are all important. What is the communication metrics that you have in place to manage your customer services? Your complaints, resolution, all of that is extremely important, right? So that's what we talked about. And those are barriers, because if you don't look at those things, you would have a problem growing your business, all right? And then of course you have your finances. Are you properly priced? Pricing is critical. If you're not priced appropriately, then many of the things you want to do, you will not even be able to do them. But then let's even look at the fact that you are priced appropriately. How are you using it? What is your outflow like? You need to have all of these targets in place. If you have not set the appropriate targets for your business, it will not grow and you will not achieve stability. All right, so those are the three. Now, remember, I'm wrapping up now so that I can entertain questions and comments, and then we can take it from there. Your future has a roadmap, okay? The roadmap to your future and for your future is as determined by your goals and as determined by these that we have put here, your vision for your business, your core values. You need to understand those two. What is your vision? What is your why? Your roadmap is your mission, is how you get there. Okay, those things that you need to do, that you have said you're going to do, that take you directly to your vision, you need to have it very clearly spelled out. If you don't, then you will not achieve growth, or you will achieve the wrong type of growth. I started this session by talking about a school that I had worked with for about a year now, and how at the beginning, all they wanted to do was just to grow in customer base. And I said, if you're growing in customer base, what that is telling me is that you are at the startup phase of your business. At some point, you're going to have to then begin to think about, this is my growth. Is it covering my operational expenses? You must bring in the financials, right? Because any business that is just growing and is not growing in financial capacity is growing in liability. And you don't want to grow in terms of your liability. All right, so those are the things that you need to think about every single time. You need to always say to yourself, what is in place for my staff to grow? How am I ensuring that my team is growing? You know, where do they need to grow? What is the need? It's not by shouting and saying, you don't know it, you didn't do it well. Where is the gap? Where do they need to be? What do you need to do to grow them, to move them to that place, such that your business is aligned across the areas of growth, ensuring that there's stability. You yourself as a leader, how are you delegating? Are you getting overwhelmed with work because you're not delegating, because you're not bringing people into the core of the work that you're doing? We need to always think about all of these things. We need to, at every single point in time, remember that we're not just a business. We're a business that needs to grow, and we're a business that needs to stay alive. And so you need to have a business process management, a business innovation practice that keeps innovating. Yeah. Thank you all so much. So if you have any questions or comments, please, you may unmute your mic and ask a question, or you can drop it in the chat box at this time. Thank you so much. Hello. Are we all in there? Hello. Any questions? Any? Okay, so I'm waiting for your questions. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I understand the fact that I'm hearing that some people are finding it difficult to get into the sessions. we will correct that. Once I leave this session, I would work with my team to correct that. But you know, everything is in progress, and everything, to be honest, looks really good from our back end. People should be able to get into the session, so we don't understand what is going on. It's just people haven't quite clicked the links they should, but it's fine. We will resolve that. Okay, so do we have any questions with respect to the sessions that you just had on business growth? Where are you struggling, for example? What are the things that you want to talk about concerning your school growth, your profitability, your sustainability? Yes, Olateju, please go ahead.
All right, good morning, everyone. So I'm not so sure it's much of a question other than to put out an observation. What I've also discovered is that most schools sort of have these things in place, but then there's no quality assurance to ensure that the things that they are put in place, they can step it up. They so I would not mention the school that I have in my head as I'm talking right now. So the school has putting things in place to ensure training, to ensure that teachers can innovate, and a lot of things, spends money on all of these things. But some of the people that have been put in place to ensure that these things run as they should, they don't. So you see somebody observing a class, and you have observed the class, and you know it's not okay, it's not as it should, but the kind of feedback that I would expect those kind of people to get, they don't get it. Concerning maybe school fees and all of that, checkmating on time, that okay, some people are not owing for as long as they should, so management put things in place, but quality assurance, ensuring that okay, so this things is as we said it's going to be, that doesn't happen. So maybe if you could talk about around that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, now one of the things that we talked about, I mentioned earlier, was people. So the three core areas that we looked at earlier, where we looked at financials, we looked at people, and then we looked at customer services. On the people, the people need to be equipped. It is not okay for us to just hire a team and assume that the team knows what to do. No. If you haven't set exact targets and the people don't even know what they're meant to be doing, so there's an alignment between what it is that you want to do and what the people are doing, and the understanding of the team, right? That is extremely important. If we don't have that alignment, then what you have just mentioned will always keep happening. So I have Uche here. Yay! So I'm going to hand over the mic to Uche. Uche, guys, she's fantastic. All right, you guys want to be in her session tomorrow. Uche, please take it away.
Sorry, hi. I just wanted to ask a question. Hi, Kiki. Well done. I wanted to ask a question. So I wanted to, should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, so when schools, have put in place all the strategies for growth, they've done all those things, but then there's always a back door that sometimes is left open. And I say that because I have a couple of parents, right, who are very what I'll call school champions. And so what usually happens is that if a school is doing all the things that they expect the school to do, they are like big advocates, they're champions, they are able to draw other parents, influence the decisions of other parents to put their kids in that school. But in the same breath, if the school does anything that is outside of the script, anything that they don't agree with, even with their own limited understanding of maybe educational systems and structures, they pull their kids away. And because other parents are feeding from their energy, you'll find other kids now exiting through the back door simply because this family has exited. So what do you advise schools to do to close that back door?
Yeah, so one thing is, and that happens, there's a lot of herd mentality in schools. My friends are in this school, so let me take my children there. If one of that herd is unhappy, it's almost like they keep moving. So what you need to do as a school is break that chain, right? And that's something so let me explain what we did. We had that as well in the school, where we had people coming in, but then we broke up that. So let me give you an example. We had a family who came in from the same school. Somebody on their estate had been with us, and they were complaining about their school, and they said, oh, why not try this particular school? So they came and they tried us, and they were happy. And simply because of that, they then sent practically everybody on the estate. It was I don't know whether to call it ridiculous, but it was a good sort of ridiculous, came into the school. Now there were these two families in particular that were very close because their children played together on the estate. So what happened? Because they played together on the estate, they came in and together, and one said, oh, a child complained that a teacher held the child's head. And so the two of them came to complain. And so the first thing we said was, did it happen to the two children? They said, no. We said, okay, we don't discuss children with, we don't discuss families together. We discuss everybody as an individual because they're all individuals in their own right. So that was the first thing we did. They insisted that they wanted to be together. We're like, I was so sorry. Your child and some other things that we might reveal in this meeting, you really may not want your friend to know. And even if you did, for us, data protection is a big deal. And so that's how we're able to break that up. We had that meeting with that parent, explained to them, how it was literally impossible for it to happen, invited them to be in that classroom. Honestly, they became our, I don't know the word to use, our evangelists, right? Now, it could have gone badly if we didn't handle that well. What unfortunately happens is that people complain, and because their complaints, their voices are really strong, sometimes a school would deal with that complaint without letting everybody else know. When we dealt with that complaint, we sent out a message to everybody in that classroom and said, look, if there's a problem in your classroom or your child comes to say something, we're not saying don't believe your child. We're saying give us a chance to explain, give us a chance to explain and explore the situation and explain to you what exactly could potentially have happened. We came from the point of, we're not saying your child is lying, but we're saying that your child's realities and the real realities might be different. And that, honestly, that changed the game for those families. And so right now, none of them come together, right? They're each on their own, very happy to be doing their own thing. When one person has a problem, I don't know if they still talk about it, because I'm not in their estate, but they don't come and meet us anymore and say, oh, let's come and fight the school. So that's something that we really need to begin to look at in our schools. There's always that back door that says, you know what, I brought you, let me go with you. But when your families come, treat them as individuals, right? Let your communication and your service be so strong that there's no reason why they want to go to something that they have not tried, simply because somebody is upset. And when it does happen, I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it, but don't let it affect the greatness that you are as a school. I hope I answered that question, Jay. Okay, do we have any other questions?
Yes, you did, Kiki. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? We have about 2 minutes. Okay. All right, people, since you don't have any more questions, so I want to say thank you very much for being here. What we're doing is, like we said, trying to resolve why people cannot get in. Some people came in, I think people are just not used to registering something different, but we're looking at that and we're changing things. And so we'll send out emails again with fresh messages to everybody to make sure that, all of your people get in. And I've just posted the link again, because, we're not clicking. We're not clicking. What we did is to essentially try our best to make sure that everybody gets, your session materials as you registered for them. But anyway, we'll look at it. So I see your hand is up, but I also see that I have a question in the chat box. So let me quickly take that question. In delegating responsibility, what do you need to do to make sure the person or persons do exactly what is needed? Okay, so when you delegate, right, what I found with delegating is that we have this bottle and we say to people, this is the job I used to drink, do this job. You know what? Take it. Forgetting the fact that, do they have two hands to hold this bottle? Is there something else in their hand that maybe they need to drop off first? Do they even understand the fact that it is a bottle? Do they know what to do with the bottle? We make those assumptions in our heads when we're delegating, and that is the problem with delegating. All right, so we cannot delegate and just say we are giving them the responsibility. No, you do things in part. When you want to eat a cow, you start with one piece at a time. And that's how it is with delegating. You look at the entire cow and say to your member of team, and okay, you know what? This cow, take this part, chew this part, let me see if you can chew it. And you're constantly monitoring, mentoring, hand-holding to make sure that the person is able to do what it is that they're meant to do. There are times when this process is difficult because, actually, when you're a new business, right, things have not really been clearly outlined. But when you realize that there was that problem, then you need to go back and correct the mechanism, right? And then begin to train and again, develop capacity such that delegating can be effective. So that's how you generally delegate. I'm giving you this bottle of water. I show you the fact that it's water. I ensure that you can repeat to me. It's like when we teach in the classroom, especially early years, is you can repeat to me that the beginning sound is B. Okay, so can you match it to any other thing around you? That way you're watching, and then you can then begin to add on in a cumulative manner the other experiences that they need to have. Yes, Oluronke, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Just a quick one. Well done, ma'am. But I think there is a change with the timing. On the timetable I got earlier, this session was supposed to start for 9:15, but realized that you started for 9. So is there a change with the timing so I don't really miss out? So I'd like to know, when is the next session starting?
The next session is at 9:45.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Next session, no problem. There was a brochure that was sent out yesterday.
It's quite different from this timing.
Okay. What do you think? So I have a question. What do you think of schools? I need to wrap this up within the next 1 minute. What do you think of schools having external quality assurance team like we have in private sectors where accountants are audited by? Oh yeah, that's great. I have an external auditor. I am an external auditor. I actually have an external auditor who comes to audit my accounts. I need that because you need to have controls within the system. You need to have external and internal. It's part of control. If you're not controlling, then stability might never be achieved, right? Or real growth might never be achieved. I've gone to audit schools before, and when I was telling them that, oh, your school needs an audit from what you are telling me, and they tell me, no, we don't need an audit. We are fine. And I go in there and I audit, and there's a huge problem. But the owners or the business leaders never saw it. Sometimes it takes an external auditor who knows what it is that they're looking for to tell you what exactly is wrong in your system, within your system. Of course, you don't have to agree, but it's a good thing. So like I said, I have an external auditor who comes to audit my accounts, but I'm also an auditor. I audit processes, I audit capacity development, I audit business health for schools. So so yeah, it's absolutely important that we have that from time to time. Cyclically check to make sure. It's like when we go for full body checks in the hospital, we go simply because we are wondering, am I okay? I'm feeling okay, but that's why we go. All right. All right. So thank you all so much. I hope that I've been able to answer every question. As I said, you will get the slides for this session very soon. All right. So take care, everyone. Bye for now. Please go back to the lobby and check for your next session in the lobby and click join to enter. Bye-bye.